שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Temple Beth-El on this rainy, rainy Shabbat. Thank you for coming out. At least it's not snow. So please take a deep breath with me as we are about to greet Shabbat. And it's really good to be here and to celebrate and to be here in our sacred space. This is a story from Abraham Joshua Heschel. A great pianist was once asked by a passionate admirer, "How do you handle the notes as well as you do?" The pianist answered, "The notes I handle no better than many pianists, but it's the pauses between the notes. That's where the art resides." In great living, as in great music, the art may be in the pauses. Surely one of the enduring contributions which Judaism has made to the art of living has been Shabbat, the pause between the notes. And it is to Shabbat that we must look if we are to restore our lives in a sense of serenity and sanctity that Shabbat offers in such joyous abundance. I'm not sure about you, but I've certainly needed Shabbat this week. And so, to help us greet Shabbat and to light the candles, I invite, actually to look for the pause, to seek the pause, I invite Elaine Springer to help us with the candles. The battery is low. Yeah, let me get a different one.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
We continue with Kabbalat Shabbat beginning on page 16 of our prayer books.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Haliu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, vehamim b'mei sharim, yiram hayam umlo, tevel v'yoshveva, necharot yimchau chav yachad harim yiraneinu, yachad harim yiraneinu.
Turn to page 19, the last two lines of the Hebrew from Psalm 29. May Adonai grant strength to God's people.
Adonai oz lehamo yitein, Adonai oz lehamo yitein, Adonai oz lehamo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, v'shalom, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo.
We turn to Lachado D on pages 20 and 21 to welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst.
Ay, 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 Lachado di, ay, 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 likrat kala, ay, 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 penei Shabbat nekabela, ay, 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 Lachado di, ay, 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 likrat kala, ay, 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 penei Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zachor b'ibur echad, ishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemul tiferet ve'likila, ay, 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 Lachado di, ay, 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 likrat kala, ay, 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 penei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelchakim mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tekila, ay, 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 Lachado di, ay, 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 likrat kala, ay, 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 penei Shabbat nekabela, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, shir daberi kevod Adonai, laik nigla, ay, 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 Lachado di, ay, 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 likrat kala, ay, 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 penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 9, we greet Shabbat. Boi v'shalom ateret
wish everyone here a Shabbat Shalom, everyone who's watching via live stream a Shabbat Shalom, and I invite you to turn to each other and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. Ask someone how their week was. We'll greet our Shabbat angels on page 24, singing together Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn to page 28 and rise for Baruch Hu.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai.
On page 30, we offer together our gratitude for the transitions between day and night and day. Join with us. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamahari V'Ravim.
Page 32.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta, Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta,
בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
You may be seated as we continue with the Ahafta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem
Emet.
We continue responsively at the bottom of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Page 40.
Yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד יאי לי יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 לי.
As we approach Hashkivenu tonight, our prayer for peace, we think of those who are in need of peace, of support, close to home and far away. Those affected by violence in Parkland and in Syria and everywhere in between. When we pray these ancient words together, we ask to feel God's protective presence here on earth. We know that we as a Jewish community have an obligation to repair this world, to make this a better, safer place for all humanity. We are particularly proud today of our youth movement, NIFTY, and the Reformed Jewish teens that have used their energy for good, arriving in Tallahassee this week to speak to Florida state representatives and legislators about gun violence prevention. Those teens have answered the call of the Talmudic rabbis. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. We see their action as prayer, and their work brings us hope. And so we turn together to page 42, and we unite our hearts in a prayer to feel God's protective presence here on earth.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו שומרנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו שומרנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו שומרנו
We continue together at the top of page 44 with Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים Shabbat v'inafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
With that amazing key change still in our ears, we turn to the Amidah on page 46 and we rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים וקדושים בכל יום יהללו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש, האל הקדוש.
We continue praying privately through page 62 of your prayer books. You may be seated or remain standing according to your custom.
60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol eit u'v'chol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We come to the moment in our service where we think of those who are in need of healing. And if there's someone tonight that you're praying for, either physical healing or spiritual healing, we invite you to share their names aloud with us as we walk up and down the aisles.
Please join with us on page 253 with the singing of Mishaberach. Page 253.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. Blessed are the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing. Amen. has a need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
This week, I had a moment where I felt like the Tooth Fairy, or like Santa, or even a unicorn. I felt like a creature so glittery and sparkly and impossibly able to fly, or a being unbound by the normal conventions of time and space. I felt I might be fictional, mythological, made up. Because this week, someone told me they don't believe in me. One of the most rewarding pieces of being a rabbi is accompanying people through their Jewish journeys, through the highs and lows of their life cycles. In the last 7 days, I accompanied a family as they laid their loved one to rest, and I also brought a Jewish baby into our people by reciting the prayers that welcome her into our sacred covenant with God. After the baby naming, a man came up to me after the ceremony and we chatted briefly. Then he very pleasantly said to me, "I don't believe in women rabbis. They're okay for other people, but not for me." He said this to my face, and he meant it. His tone was not threatening. He carried no anger in his face. But he looked me in the eye, and he said he didn't believe in me, in my calling, in my profession, my identity, and who I am. And in that moment, I had to decide if I was going to feel like a mythological creature that could be believed in, or if I would choose a different path. I could hold on to that feeling of being a 28-year-old woman serving the world as a rabbi and feel crushed, or I could take what he said and be reflective. I'm glad to be now in a room where people believe in me, and I don't take that for granted. Thank you. But I have spent a lot of this week thinking about what it means to be believed in. Clergy really only have the authority invested in them by the communities and denominations which they serve. Power, authority, authenticity, these are invested in someone. Even the word invested gives us a hint as to the power of appearances themselves. In this week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh, we read about what the Israelite priests are supposed to look like, how they're supposed to dress, and what their appearance says about their power and readiness to serve. In our Torah portion, it is written, "You shall bring forward your brother Aaron with his sons from among the Israelites to serve me as priests, Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, Eleazar, and Itamar, the sons of Aaron. Make vestments for your brother Aaron, lechavod uletiferet, for dignity and honor. Next you shall instruct all who are skillful, whom I have endowed with the gift of skill, to make Aaron's vestments, for consecrating him to serve me as a priest. These are the vestments they are to make: a breastpiece, an ephod, a robe, a fringed tunic, a headdress, and a sash. They shall make these vestments for your brother Aaron and his sons for priestly service to me. They therefore shall receive the gold, the blue, the purple, and crimson yarns, and the fine linen." Don't they sound fancy? We read on at the many detailed instructions for exactly how each item of the priestly vestments is to be designed. Finally, Moses learns how he will ordain the priests with Aaron. It is said, "Then bring his sons forward, clothe them with tunics and wind turbans upon them, and gird both Aaron and his sons with sashes. And so they shall have priesthood as their right for all time. You shall then ordain Aaron and his sons." The garments, then, are critical. In Zvachim 17b, the rabbis of the Talmud describe how important the robes and garments are to the priesthood. While little is said about their actual ritual functioning as human beings, the text speaks volumes about the priestly costume. If one serves as a priest without the full priestly raiment, one's service is disqualified. At the time their raiment is upon them, their priesthood is upon them. If their raiment is not upon them, their priesthood is not upon them. Or, in the words of Aviva Zornberg, the clothing makes the priest. Not to be attired in exactly the right clothes is sufficient to disqualify the priest from ritual. The sartorial fanfare that we witness in this week's Torah portion places the priestly vestments on a parallel plane with the tabernacle itself. The Torah text affirms that the priestly garments are lechavod uletiferet, for glory and for honor. And on this, Ramban, Nachmanides, comments, for these garments are royal raiment. Kings were clothed in such garments at the time of the Torah. The clothes should be made for Aaron, to serve in them for the glory of God, who dwells among them, and for the beauty of their strength. The clothes, he says, must be fashioned with full intentionality, awareness of their sacred purpose, and possibly even require kavanah, awareness of the complex meanings expressed in the clothing themselves. On this, Zornberg tries to explain, Ramban emphasizes the aesthetic function of the priest's vestments in all of their majesty and humility. The high priest is arrayed like God's ministering angels, expressive of total attention, of a being so irradiated with an awareness of God, even its vestments dazzle. If the vestments are to have this authentically expressive power, inside and outside must match. Therefore, Nachmanides expresses and emphasizes the consciousness and intention, even of the craftsmen who make the vestments. These priestly vestments were not just clothing, though. They were ritual items in and of themselves. Scholar Dr. Baruch Schwartz writes, the fact that the garments are included in the instructions for the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and its furnishings indicates they were not thought of as items belonging to the priest, but rather sacred equipment appertaining to the Mishkan and used only there. Indeed, they are explicitly designated for use when serving in the sanctuary. The list of materials needed for the sanctuary includes the precious stones needed for the ephod and breastplate. Further, the fabric portions of the garments were made of the exact same materials and fashioned in the exact same manner as the materials of the tabernacle itself, with those used to make the high priest's garments identical to those used in the most sacred sections of the tabernacle. The four garments peculiar to the high priest are unlike any normal articles of clothing. Their shape and design show they're not intended to provide protection from the elements or fulfill the requirements of modesty. Their weight and the manner in which they are placed on the high priest's body render them neither practical nor comfortable. The high priest is said to wear them only when he enters the sanctuary interior, morning and evening. It seems to me no accident that we read this Torah portion the week of Purim, a holiday where we traditionally wear costumes, whether we're priests or not. Our teacher, Dr. Norman Cohen, teaches, everyone this time gets in on the act, and the dressing up is not necessarily for the purpose of bringing kavod latiferet, honor and glory to God. Rather, it is an expression of the spirit of Purim, summarized in the words of the Megillah, v'na'afochu, everything was reversed. Just as the fortune of Jews was reversed and Mordechai took the place of Haman, so too commoners dress as royalty, and royalty dress as commoners on Purim. We drink in order to blur the order and the distinctions that prevail in the rest of the year, and we mix things up. This week, as we move into Purim, I'm thinking about the impact of our appearances. We invest a certain amount of power into how we perceive others, how we judge people based on how they appear to us. In the case of Purim, we learn that looks can be deceiving, and trusting misleading appearances can make the whole world feel topsy-turvy, or as they say in the Megillah, v'na'afochu, everything's upside down. In the case of the priests, their power was vested in what they wore. Their garments served a purpose, separating the priests from the rest of the people, imbued with ritual importance. When the priests put on their vestments, they weren't Aaron or Nadav or Avihu. They were priests serving God. While they were the ones chosen by God for this service, once they were in their garments, their priestliness wasn't personal. It was sartorial in their clothes. We are commanded as a people to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. And while the priests themselves led the people in ritual, they were wearing garments that weren't just clothes. They were ritual items themselves. And if I may be so bold, I'd like to disagree with Nachmanides. I don't think that the priests were any more or less priestly when they were dressed like the tabernacle. They were ready to serve the Israelites by serving God, and their appearance only helped the Israelites realize their readiness. It isn't Purim just yet, so when I say this, I hope you'll believe that it's true. This is what a rabbi looks like. No robe, no beard, no priestly headdress or breastplate. I may not be from the line of the sons of Aaron. I may not be dressed up like the tabernacle or in ritual garments. I am not a priest, biblical or otherwise, but I am a rabbi, so thank you for believing in me. We turn to 282 and rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We come now to the point in our service where we remember those who have come before us. If I read aloud the name of someone you're here remembering this evening, I invite you to rise and remain standing. This week in this period of Shiva, we remember Robert Louis Lester and Josie Tanner. And in this period of 30 days, Shloshim, we remember Ronnie Pincus, Ruth Pomerantz, Michael Spector, and Erwin Steiner. And this evening, we commemorate the yahrzeits of Sarah Friedmutter, Samuel Gold, Sam Goodman, Estelle Jaffe, Stanley Kreutzer, Gussie Singer, Sarah Pock, Jacob L. Stein, Bertha Taffler, Rosalind Walk, and Norman Zuller. Are there any other names anyone's remembering tonight for Kaddish? Zichronam livracha, we pray their memories always be for a blessing. If it is your custom to rise, I invite you to do so as we turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to the world. And together we say, amen. Please be seated, unless you're Ron. I'd like to invite up our president, Ron Epstein, or Ron Epstein, depending on how formal the occasion, to tell us some announcements and offer some greetings.
I prefer Epstein too, but I like to keep everybody off balance a little bit. So that's my way of doing it. So thank you, Rabbi Molbaum and Cantor Lappin. Rabbi Molbaum, let me say, as president of the synagogue, that I believe in you, and leadership believes in you. You are certainly not a mythological creature. So, and Cantor Lappin, we believe in you too. even though your voice is otherworldly sometimes. So, and a thank you to our musical accompaniment, Shai Kedmi, as always. A special thank you to our superstar greeters this evening, the past presidents Frank and Leslie Abrams. Are they still here? They are still here. Yes. I agree, Vlad, that Shabbat is indeed that incredible pause. I too had a very long week. It was hard to get motivated to come to synagogue this evening, but I did know. I said to myself, you didn't get that one of those texts at the last minute that says I'm not going to be here, but I did say to myself, you're going to feel much better, and I do. So thank you to all of you for being here. So good evening, Shabbat Shalom. All the things that are going on in the world, some heavy stuff for sure. I thought I'd take us in a slightly lighter direction, or heavier depending on your digestive, how your digestion works. So in Yiddish, there's a phrase, and I'm in honor of my parents who would be aghast at my very poor Yiddish pronunciation. I'll say it to you in English. And the saying goes, may you lay in the earth and bake bagels. And now that has a very sort of literal go-to-heck kind of connotation. Basically, it means you'll be trapped in the ground, unable to consume the delicious fruits of your labor. Now, this expression harks back to a time when baking bagels was rather like being in hell itself, in underground bakeries with vats of boiling water and flaming coal-fired ovens. In New York, for decades, this is how the city's bagels were made, by Jewish bakers stripped almost bare and sweating profusely. In the earliest and most unsanitary of these bakeries, cats swiped at inch-long cockroaches and napped on mounds of flour. Late into the 1950s, conditions were so unhygienic that bakers would not wear their filthy work clothes on the street, hardly priestly garments. It was sweltering labor that required precision and skill, and would in time launch one of the fiercest unions the city has ever seen. The men of Beth-El Bakers Local 338 were not a group to be trifled with. Founded in the 1930s, all 300-odd initial members were Yiddish-speaking and descended from the hardy early bakers of the day. They were strong macho types, whiskey drinking, coffee drinking, steak eating. You never spoke directly to these old-timers unless they spoke to you first. You wouldn't even approach them, and they didn't look at you. Amongst themselves, they spoke Yiddish, and the first question to you in English usually was, who are you related to? Local 338 was not the first bagel bakers union in New York, however. As hundreds of thousands of Jews swept into New York ahead of the First World War, dozens of Jewish bakeries opened on the Lower East Side, mostly staffed by young Jewish men, providing their friends and families with challah, rye bread, and bagels. Laws to protect workers were passed, but inspectors failed to do their jobs. Conditions were hard, and they were dangerous. The bakers attempted to advocate for themselves by creating bakers' unions. Now, while not the first, Local 338, when it came into being, was certainly very different. Bagels were acquiring a special cachet among Jewish Americans, and bakers grew wise to the value of these very special skills. Within 8 years of the formation, this union had contracts with 36 of the largest bakeries in New York City and New Jersey. They had a ferocious reputation, and non-union bagel makers were a fear of them. From the outside, bagels seem like a very uncomplicated foodstuff. They are, after all, just hard rolls with a hole in the middle. But that glossy exterior belies a much more complex process of kneading and shaping, cooling and heating, boiling and baking. Making a traditional bagel by hand could take as much as 24 hours from start to finish. After the initial shaping, the dough is specially cooled for hours at a time. This slows down the yeast fermentation. Rather than ballooning like a loaf of bread, the dough rings fizz with lactic acid, giving them that sour flavor and that distinctively crusty taste. The bagels are dipped in boiling water for barely a minute, cooled and dried again, and then placed in a very hot oven. The margin for error is very small, and so more and more Americans came to see bagels as an intrinsic part of a Sunday breakfast, and bagel bakers found themselves becoming irreplaceable with appropriately rigid negotiating positions. Without machinery undercutting them, bagel bakers found themselves able to command impressively high salaries. Speaking to the New York Times in 1960, the head of Local 338, Benny Greengrass, some of you may recognize that name from New York City, estimated the base pay for a 37-hour work week for rollers at $144 and $150 for ovenmen. Today, that annual salary would equate to around $65,000, and far more than even policemen and engineers or even teachers were paid in that time. And they often worked overtime, some of them making as much as $2,000 in a busy week. Bagel bakers renegotiated their contracts every year, and if they didn't get what they wanted, they went on strike, plunging the city into what the New York Times called bagel famine. In December 1951, 32 out of 34 bagel bakeries closed, leaving shelves bare and sending lox sales shooting down by as much as 50%. The Jewish community must have been in uproar. Normally, the city's bagel fiends ate as much as 1.2 million bagels in a weekend. Now there were nearly none. Shopkeepers substituted bagels with whatever they could, but it certainly wouldn't do the trick. The greatest of the bagel strikes took place in February '62. The bagel was growing in popularity, and bagel maker status had never been so secure. But the threat of automation was coming, and as bakeries began to look for new fashion machinery, workers began to push back. The victory that they had in these strikes, however, was short-lived. Bakers had resisted technology for a long time, but little by little, modern technology was creeping in. Everything from revolving ovens to automated rolling. The death knell, however, came from California. Daniel Thompson, a local math teacher turned inventor, created the bagel machine and quickly homogenized what had been an artisanal product before. Thompson's bagels lacked the crustiness of the original, but they could be produced almost 4 times as cheaply and by workers earning far less money. Lenders, I'm sure you all remember Lender's Bakers from New Haven, Connecticut, led the charge in mass-producing bagels and selling them frozen to supermarkets. The foundations of Local 338 were swept out from beneath it. At first they held out. They appealed to customers not to buy these pretenders, but conditions got harder and harder as more commercially made bagels found their way into the stores. The bagel makers vowed to picket around the clock, but their tough tuck was no match for automation. Another strike was attempted in 1967. That barely made a dent on the market, and for the first time, the bagel makers had been replaced by machines, and the glory days were over. Some opened their own stores outside of New York and introduced bagels across the country. Others moved on to other industries, but by 1971, the union was definitively over. In Jewish cookbooks, the bagel's ring shape is often described as a symbol for the circle of life. In the space of less than 100 years, New York's bagel bakers had gone from making a niche product and being exploited for doing so to being one of the city's strongest labor unions, and now they were back where they had started, while the city chowned out on machine-made bagels that bore little resemblance to the baked goods that was the center of these men's lives. So, some history to ponder next time you put a schmear on your favorite Sunday morning offerings. I thought that was kind of a fun story. I'm always looking for some good Yiddish stuff to... Will there be bagels at the Yoda? I don't think so, no. I didn't bring any, so. A couple of announcements. So tomorrow morning, 9:15 Torah study, 10:30 a.m. Shabbat morning service. Tomorrow evening, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, Songs of the Great American Songbook. If you enjoyed the incredible chantings of Cantor Lappin and Rabbi Molbaum this evening, you will love tomorrow night. You want to give us a little preview? No, does not. No, it does not. You have to come to enjoy the preview. There's a whole range of adult learning sessions throughout the month, this month and next. Wednesday, 7 p.m., Erev Purim Megillah service, starting at 7 p.m., correct? Friday the 2nd, 6 p.m., Erev Shabbat service and Purim Spiel, Jedi on the roof, may the farce be with you. You gotta love that. Who's Haman this year? Oh, okay. I thought you would have enlisted somebody. So that should be a lot of fun. And then 7:15, of course, is a potluck Purim dinner. Thursday, March 8th, this caught my eye, 7 p.m., Jewish cooking school, the best macaroons ever, in the catering kitchen led by Maria Margalov. So some great announcements and great goings on here at the temple. Shabbat Shalom. Everyone have a fantastic
Thank you, Ron. Ron's speech is brought to you today by Bagel Boss and Bagel House.
All of the local bagel places. Join us after our closing song for Kiddush and Motzi at the Oneg downstairs, and you can find the lyrics to our closing song this evening in your bulletin. The youth shall see visions from the book of Joel, a book we don't often quote, chapter 3, verse 1.
Given that we've been inspired so much this week by our teens and by our youth, this is one of the reasons why we chose to close our services with the song. You should all have the words. Please join with us. Childhood was for fantasies, for nursery rhymes and toys. The world was much too busy to understand small girls and boys. As I grew up, I came to learn that life was not a game. The heroes were just people that were called another name. And the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hope shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. Now I'm grown, the years have passed. I've come to understand there are choices to be made, and my life's at my command. I cannot have a future till I embrace my past. I promise to pursue the challenge. Time is going fast, and the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hopes shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. Today's the day I take my stand. The future's mine to hold. Commitments that I make today are dreams from day of old. I have to make the way for generations come and go. I'll have to teach them what I've learned, so they will come to know that the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hope shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. Give us time, give us strength, give us life.
Shabbat Shalom. See you downstairs.